Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boys Connor
Hello.
and Benny.
Hello.
Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for joining us this week. We have a pretty cool show ahead. Some very, very big trailers dropped this week, including Spider-Man Far From Home and Shazam. So we're going to get into those a bit later. I'm pumped, and it's great to see your faces, boys. Let's catch up on what everyone's been watching. Connor?
Yep.
I think you've listened to a little bit of advice. Sorry, Benny. A little bit of advice from us and have watched a
So I've started watching. So it's a bit of a domino effect. So Ben started talking about Titans, 3, 4, 9 weeks ago, whatever it was.
Something like that.
9.5.
And has been doing nothing but singing its praises for that entire time. And about 2 weeks ago, George, you crumbled and you started watching Titans. I'm assuming from episode 1.
Yeah, I finished it as well.
Crazy.
In order?
I finished a show.
Season. And it was even longer than Hill House.
That's 2.
Yeah,
That's
you're working
2.
up.
That's
You've
doing
gone
like
10 episodes
that's
to 11.
really
That's like
impressive.
2 shows.
That's really impressive. And so as soon as George finished and he was raving about it as much as Ben was, I was like, I should probably check this out. So I watched the first show of Titans just to kind of test the water, see if it's something that I enjoyed. And fuck both of you because I really do enjoy it.
Nice.
Which means I'm adding another. It was after I had just started rewatching a series. So now I've got that stuck where I'm in like 2 series
What
at one
series?
time. So I'll give a quick. I love the first episode. Everything really works well. I don't understand why this isn't on more people's radars.
Yeah, that's 3 for 3 right now. We're going to get a review out as soon as we can. But
Probably next week, guys.
Take our recommendation just right now. We'll do this big spoiler discussion and everything. So check it out for yourself.
I think what people thought it was going to be was like the CW, and it's fucking not. It's nothing like it. It's like what the CW should have been.
I feel like a lot of people's issue with this show and a lot of the reviews that I've seen out there currently are from DC fans and they feel rubbed the wrong way because certain characters are a little bit different from how they're supposed to be in inverted commas. And not coming at this with any baggage. I mean, I did watch Teen Titans when I was younger, but you know, not a favorite of mine, but coming at this with no baggage, it is so good.
Yeah.
And now finishing the series, I've got to say, man, episodes 9, 10, 11, you're in for a treat, Connor, because I was so impressed with some of the storytelling, character development, the ballsiness of where they go and how they decide to where they go with the story and the decisions they make. I'm like, you kept me on the edge of my seat. I did not know what to expect from episode to moment. It was absolutely fantastic, and I love the way they. Actually, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, is this your review time or is this mine?
It's been the best 2 weeks for me because last week I was so worried when I knew you'd probably seen some. I'm like, was he going to like it? And you're like, I really liked half of it.
Yeah, and I said I was worried. I was worried about the rest of the show.
Coming in this week, I'm like, fuck, man, I hope he likes it as a whole because a bad ending can sink the whole thing. And liking the whole thing, that's cool because I really enjoyed the whole thing as well.
So now you just have to. This is like Toy Story. You got 2, just waiting on that 3rd.
I don't care what you think.
I knew you were going to say that. I was walking into it. I was like, he's going to be an asshole.
No, my ideal situation is me and George agreeing on something.
Yeah, I hate it. So that I get it. Yeah, that's fine. But the other show that I had started watching is with the release of the, and this is something that we should have actually talked about, the season 8 trailer for Game of Thrones. They've released the full trailer for it. And
I didn't see that anyway.
did they? I'm pretty sure they did.
Didn't we do that last week?
Maybe we did do it last week. Never mind. I'm just off in my crazy little world.
Connorville.
I was like, no, that was the trailer that sparked this. Anyways, I think my girlfriend made it up to end of season 5. Hasn't seen on from that. I wanted a bit of a refresher, so we're starting from the beginning of season 5. And so I had just gotten really into that when I had made the decision to jump onto Titans as well. So I'm halfway through season 5 of Game of Thrones. I also watched Split in preparation for Glass. I made a conscious decision to not watch Unbreakable.
I'm really pumped to talk about that in our review, guys.
Yeah. So and there's a
Go to
reason.
It's up right
Yeah,
now,
it's a very
actually.
interesting choice.
The reason
Yes.
that I did it
Very
was
interesting
because I knew
choice.
that both of you had seen Unbreakable. You'd be watching this as a trilogy, and I was kind of interested to see what it would be as, or can it give my opinions on it as a relatively direct follow-up from Split
I'm
without the
very
baggage
interested
of
to hear.
Unbreakable.
You're a
your-
saint, man. You're just throwing yourself on the sword and fucked your own viewing of this movie. That's really interesting.
Well, we'll get into it
I'm very,
From the
very
review,
interested.
because to be honest, I know
George, are you interested?
I know the beats and
Did I say I'm
and-
interested? Because that's where I'm at right
Because you
now.
guys, mate, I know the beats and the general story in Unbreakable, so I'm not entirely sure whether I'm a clear winner for someone that's gone in clean. But yeah. Anyways, I rewatched Split, and I was just kind of thrown by how fucking good James McAvoy is. That dude is impressive as fuck. Yeah, just like, I mean, there's a lot of good things about that film, like the cinematography and the filmmaking of it is really impressive. And the performances across the board are really good. But yeah, just James McAvoy's performance in that and his ability to just with subtle moves and mannerisms really define different characters. I mean, you could just tell who that personality was by the way he was walking. It's just it was kind of almost a masterclass in acting. So
Yeah, I wish that got. I think within circles, I think that is heralded as a really great performance. But it's a shame that it didn't transcend past genre fans. Because I agree with you, man. Like, there's one part where he's sitting in the chair speaking with the psychologist, and he just makes this move and turns into another character, and
straightens his shoulders.
yeah,
just
and
kind
you're you're locked into that character, and it's like, fuck.
It would have been
Well
so easy as a director to say, okay, now put on your glasses, because that character wears glasses when he changes into it. But you don't need it. Like, yeah, he just changes his face
seriously.
a little bit. It's
And
awesome.
One of the wildest things that I thought was that had happened is you're watching a character play a character that is playing a character at one point, and that was really wild. And you could like, maybe it's just because you know about it, but you could just kind of get the sensibility that this is it was just a bit of inception in terms of character playing. So yeah, I reiterated how much I enjoy Split as a movie, just independent of anything else.
Yeah, completely agree. It's a really solid thriller to chuck on.
Georgie boy, your
Yeah, I finished
watch list?
Titans and watched Glass. Review is up now, guys. Go check that out.
Nice, short and sweet. Like
Yeah, I really didn't do much else other than that.
Nice.
that. There you go,
Kept it pretty clean.
Ben.
We're neck deep in Australian summer right now, so I've just been at the beach every day. I haven't watched a lot this week. Funnily enough, I did check out, and I think this might have been in time for last week, but I completely forgot about it somehow. I watched Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage.
Wow.
No.
Yes, because
Connor,
I remember-
what's
Yeah, I
wrong
was gonna
with
say
you?
this is a move that I would make.
Well, I remember when this movie came out and everyone was kind of like, a lot of bad movie fans were kind of raving about it as like this insane half intentional B movie or Z movie. And I haven't seen either of the others, and I just kind of wanted to check it out one night with a friend. And yeah, I mean, it's like terrible and weird, and like half of it is like meant to be like that, but the other half feels like it's actually trying to appeal to like whatever meathead is like a real hardcore Vin Diesel fan.
Doesn't
like
it have
Fast and Furious? It's very strange.
really out there scale, and they didn't have the budget to.
Not at all. No.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
Like,
Okay.
he like. No, I mean,
I don't know.
yes. I mean, yes, they don't have the budget for what they do in this film.
But they go for a really big, massive action movie budget, but they're working with like 20 million or.
Yeah, I don't know what the budget was. I think they actually do a pretty good
Okay.
job of what they're trying to
I
make.
don't know
But
where that's.
there's only so realistic you can make skiing down a forested mountain look, or motorbiking into the ocean on like skis. They're like motorbikes. It's so weird. It's very strange. But it's fun in a real dumb way. And Donnie Yen is legitimately fantastic as always. And I also checked out, thank you God, thank you DC, thank you Netflix. I don't know who's really responsible for this, but Young Justice has returned for season 3 after being cancelled years ago, unceremoniously after 2 seasons because they weren't selling enough toys. And
Warner Brothers.
Huh?
Warner Brothers.
I've checked out the first 3 episodes of this, and it feels like they never stopped making it. They've got all the creators back, all the cast. It looks exactly the same. Young Justice is one of my favorite shows out there. It Titans before Titans came along, Teen Titans after Teen Titans as well. I think I like it better than both of those. But I'm so happy it's back, and they're releasing 3 episodes a week, which is just fucking brilliant.
I will definitely dial this in purely on what you've done with Titans, man.
It is
well
such,
done, bro.
You're on a 50-50 strike rate with me because
I recommended Hill House. What are you talking about?
did you? Oh no, it was Teen Titans is what I'm referring to.
No, that's Teen Titans Go. All right,
Yeah.
that's a whole different thing. I don't watch that show. Young Justice is very different.
No, I was saying you recommended the movie and I hated it, and then
I don't think I recommended it. I think I said I loved it. I think
Well-
you can find audio of
well.
me saying it's probably not for everybody. Anyway, I'm so glad this show is back. It's a really great introduction to the greater DC universe, even more so than Titans, because you know how Titans kind of hints at things.
Very much so.
Young Justice actually has all the Justice League in it and everything, and probably has my favorite portrayal of Batman, played by Bruce Greenwood. Amazing.
Okay.
there you go.
Well, yeah, I will definitely chuck that on this week because I'm on a bit of a DC roll right now, and I don't think the CW stuff's for me, but these other little pockets that exist, I'm like, this really hits my sensibilities quite nicely.
I'll be
CW stuff
honest.
is definitely not for you.
Almost as a joke, I went through like 2 seasons of, or maybe even 3 seasons of Green Arrow. Or is it Green Arrow? Or is it
Arrow.
Arrow. Yeah. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
I literally watched 30 seconds of the opening episode, and I was like, nah, that is not for
today,
me.
motherfucker.
That's not for me.
Yeah, I've gotten through multiple seasons of Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, whatever else there is.
My time is precious.
I never watched Constantine. Mine
I
isn't,
can't,
and even I'm just
Yeah,
like, I can't keep up.
I can't.
They have their strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But guys, we'll have our spoiler review for Titans up next week. There's a lot to discuss in here, and I might even try and watch it again. I am that. I really, really enjoyed this. So
that's
sorry if
cute.
I'm preempting my review. I'm actually more excited to talk about spoilers with this because it handles a lot of
So you know
interesting
what?
things.
Catch up.
Let's just move on to
So
news.
let's talk into spoilers now.
We're jumping into spoilers.
Now let's get into the news because we got to get into that next phase of the episode, guys. So come on.
That's true. That's okay.
Phase 2 initiated.
Let's do it. All right. The big news this week, I guess. Jason Reitman is to co-write and direct a new Ghostbusters film in the original continuity. Early word suggests that the main characters will be 4 teens, 2 girls and 2 boys. I've heard around like the kind of 12-year-old age. And supposedly all of the surviving members of the original cast will be showing up in this. I think Ernie Hudson dropped that. A little plot synopsis potentially that's kind of floating on the wind says that the film will focus on a family who moves back home to a small town. While there, they begin to learn more about who they are and the secrets of the town itself. That's from We Got This Covered. And we also got a little teaser trailer this week for this film out of nowhere.
Did we really? I've completely missed that.
Yeah, why didn't we watch this?
Yeah, what
Right.
the fuck?
have you seen it, George?
No.
Fuck.
What the hell? I just this
Pause the
completely slipped by
episode.
me.
No,
So-
it's basically just it's a big old barn at night in a small town. You just see someone working on a car in there. As like little flashes of electricity, and it just goes in. You hear the old score
Yeah.
from the movie, and
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
so the thing flipped. Not the song, the actual score.
Oh,
which
the
is-
score.
which is really good. Not that horrible song. So it's quite cool and atmospheric. And then the thing flips off the car, and you see it's the Ecto-1, and that's it. It says,
Cool.
coming out
So there's a
2020
couple of
or
things to dissect with this. First of all, do you guys have any interest in seeing a Ghostbusters film in the original continuity? Is it something that excites you, interests you, makes you curious?
Not excites me, no, but
Tickles you?
I'm definitely open to it. I actually quite like what they did there. So there is sort of a Ghostbusters 3. Not a lot of people have probably experienced it. It's a video game for the PS3 and I think probably all of that generation of consoles. Dan Aykroyd came back to write it. It stars all of the original actors. They actually got Bill Murray to come for it.
No way.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's a really cool plot, actually, that clearly Aykroyd had been thinking about for a while, about the kind of like stonemason origins of New York City. And yeah, it's pretty insane. It's probably not a great game, especially not by today's standards, but I like what they did with that. And I just what they've done in the comics in recent years and stuff, I think there really is interesting room to expand on that mythology.
Yeah.
I think it could be done well.
George?
I'm not that excited about this, but I'm definitely open for somebody bringing in a new interpretation of Ghostbusters. The fact that they're not going with the original cast, that gives me a little bit of
They'll be in
intrigue.
there, but they're not the...
Yeah.
Well, we don't know at this point.
We don't know at this point, but it sounds like a little bit Stranger Things.
It's very Stranger Things.
I'm getting a vibe there, and I'm not against that.
Yeah. If this is... I'll say that if this is kind of going ahead with kids that are 10 to 12 years old, this is really going to rest on the shoulders of those kids. And child actors is always a gamble. I mean, it can make or break a film. And I feel like...
Yeah, you go the spectrum from It to like, what's up?
Harry Potter.
Dark Tower.
Dark Tower.
Dark Tower, yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's just a flip of the coin. Like, I mean, you can do good casting and all that, but, you know...
The kid wigs out on set.
Yeah.
Direction is key.
Yeah.
Some people can't work with kids.
That, I mean, and I sit with you too, is that I'm open to this. This is not something that's going to make my day or anything, but if they do a good Ghostbusters film, then heck, I'm on board. So the second part of this is that there has been a little bit of controversy, or not even controversy. It's someone's having a bit of I'd say a whinge, which is Leslie Jones has gone to Twitter and slammed this direction, saying that it's kind of fucked up that they've just decided to ignore the reboot that happened a couple of years ago with the all-female cast. I mean, from my 2 cents, I kind of... This didn't feel... this felt a bit, as I said, whingy to me. Like, I mean, it felt weird and almost hypocritical to say, wait, what? Our reboot is getting rebooted? How dare you?
I see a point in that, and like I love her completely outspoken nature. I think that's why the internet
don't
loves
give
her
a
in
fuck
general.
type
Totally,
of-
yeah.
yeah.
I think that's great, especially to hear that coming out of Hollywood. You know, where everything's so spokespersony. But I kind of see her point in that it has been, 2 years since the last one, and they're rebooting it again, and that's usually something people generally do get up in arms about.
But that was a very controversial film.
I know this is such a
that got a lot of
fucked up
bad
situation
press
already.
and certain sects of the community really didn't get on board with the fact that they were doing a female version
I think
of
it
the
was really
Ghostbusters.
unfortunate that, there's a lot of people, irrespective of the controversy around it, that just didn't enjoy this film, didn't think it was funny, and nothing to do with, I think, the casting. Because
Did anyone see it?
Yeah, I saw it twice in the cinema. Yeah. I thought it was decent.
You liked Hemsdog, didn't you?
He was fantastic. Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. A standard kind of SNL sort of feel of a film, but a third act kind of goes off a cliff.
Sorry. Yeah,
it's not for everybody. You really need to be into that type of humor, but I thought it definitely had its strengths. I really like Paul Feig as a director.
And I'll put it out there. I like all the cast members. They're like top talent.
Kate McKinnon. I'd never seen her before that movie, and that was a revelation to me. She's amazing.
Her on SNL is gold.
Yeah,
like I will say, like just watching her on SNL is hilarious. But so like it's so difficult to separate the controversy around that and just the disgusting internet trolls from whether that movie was actually good or bad. But I think it's just, sometimes movies don't click. They're not profitable. They get rebooted. Fucking deal with it and move on. Like, I mean, it sounds kind of petty to go on Twitter and say this is fucked up. How could they be ignoring us? It's a fucking movie. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and I could get that if this was just a random person on the internet. This is one of the stars of the movie, so I think she's perfectly allowed to be pissed off about the fact that they're just like moving on in a whole different direction. It'd be like if any
out of the Netflix ones that are Netflix Marvel movies or TV shows that got canned, one of them came out, oh, this is fucked up. Like, this is bullshit. How dare they do this to us?
I think everyone would be applauding them for that. Charlie Cox kind of came out and said he was really pissed about all the people losing their jobs and all the hard work they put into the show and everything. And I was like, fuck yeah, that would be really
different.
frustrating.
That is different. Like, he's specifically saying that
okay, we don't need to get into this. I mean, like... Anyway, are you guys big fans of Ghostbusters in general?
I really like the first one, but I'm not a fan of much else. I did watch the cartoon a lot when I was a kid, and I really dug that.
The real Ghostbusters or Extreme Ghostbusters? Sorry to get technical.
Oh, shit. Apparently we weren't fans of the cartoon.
I thought I was the master of this domain.
I'll have you know that I haven't watched either.
Fuck you! I actually watched it and I don't know the name of the show.
Did it have the characters from the movies or new characters?
Yes, the characters from the movies.
Okay, and like...
It was the same
Dan
production
Aykroyd,
as...
that had blonde hair for some reason.
It was the same cartoon production company that did the Men in Black series, I feel. I feel like
the
they
same
were
vibe.
same, very similar vibe.
And I think you might
So-
be talking about Extreme Ghostbusters.
Ben,
Those
can I just
different
mention this? You are the
Ghostbusters.
best, worst nerd I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
You know all
I'm a
about comics
Wikipedia
without
nerd.
having actually read comics.
Totally.
He's a cool nerd. He doesn't
Nerds
waste
are in
his
now.
time.
Well, let's not
I'm a
go
nerd
that far.
poser.
Which one's this one?
That's
Ecto
the real
Force?
Ghostbusters.
No,
That's the original
no.
cartoon. Yeah, see, that's based on the original movie.
No, I watched
Extreme Ghostbusters, yeah, which
Extreme.
did have a similar vibe to that Men in Black cartoon. And yeah, that was kind of a cool thing. I like in the comics now. What's cool is they've spun out this entire multiverse of Ghostbusters stuff. They've got the original Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, the Extreme Ghostbusters, and the 2016 female Ghostbusters, all kind of coexisting and crossing over, which is really cool. And they actually had. This is my wheelhouse. They actually had a crossover with the Ninja Turtles as well because it's the same comics company.
I think I remember
At the moment,
that.
and that was pretty decent. But yeah, I actually the second movie.
Adelaide Productions, motherfuckers.
Nice-
Same person.
nicely done,
Same
sir.
company.
Good catch.
Yeah, there you
Man,
go.
they have a good vibe. Those shows.
Yeah, love it.
So I always remember that, like it was Men in Black, and for some reason I lumped Jackie Chan. Do you remember
Oh,
the
yeah, that
Adventures of
one.
Jackie Chan in there.
I'd
as
say
well?
that's the same thing as well. Honestly,
Yeah,
Yeah, it could
Chan
be like
Adventures.
that. Just those are
Spider-Man also, the TV series. Did you guys get on that? The 90s one? Spider.
You've done this so many times on the show. I want to see a supercut of you doing Spider.
I do remember that
let's do it.
that TV show, but I wouldn't lump it in with those.
I had the misfortune of unfortunately watching more Spider-Man Unlimited. Do you remember that one?
I think my little brother watched that.
Where-
And I was like,
Oh, fuck.
lame.
Yeah, where he ends up on the anti-Earth on the other side of the sun, and it's all
and
animal
his-
people.
Oh,
And he's got like a little web cape. It's very strange.
Wow.
Look up the
That's why
trailer.
you turned
Let's
it
look up the
this way.
trailer after this show.
okay.
Anyway, there's a new
What are we
Ghostbusters movie
talking
coming.
about? Ghostbusters?
Also, just I didn't mention Jason Reitman is of course the son of Ivan Reitman, the director of the first two films, which is of note.
Legacy.
He directed Thank You for Smoking,
love it. Thank you for
Up in the Air.
Do you like
Oh,
great films.
love. I don't like his other ones. That
Most
he's
of
made
his
more
other stuff
recently.
sucks, but I haven't watched.
Up in the
I haven't
Air
watched
is
any of
a
it.
bona fide classic in my opinion.
Absolutely,
I really
yeah.
dig that movie.
So a really interesting director and very, very different from what you would expect to be signed on to something like
I
that.
liked his
Jason
quote.
Reitman,
I liked his quote where he talked about he felt like he was the first Ghostbusters fan, like going onto the set and like seeing that.
That's
shit.
pretty
And I was just
cool.
Like,
That's pretty cool.
And he was in the movie as well.
it's damn good.
As a boy. All right, next up, Tony Award-winning M. Butterfly playwright David Henry Hwang has been set by Disney to write Hunchback, a live-action musical adaptation of the original Victor Hugo novel. Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz will write the music, and Josh Gad is producing and potentially starring as the old Hunchback himself.
So the Disney live action freight train continues on. I think
Steamrolling.
what we said recently that I've sort of, I don't know, it makes a lot of sense to me is Dumbo to reboot that and repackage that was like 1940s. There's a solid justification behind that in my mind. I think if you're doing anything 90s, even 80s, it becomes a bit of a stretch for me. And this is the issue where what I have, and a lot of it comes with the fact that I grew up on these films.
Not to shut you down, just they did specifically word this to say it's an adaptation of the original novel.
Okay.
Not necessarily that film.
Sure.
But
That
it
was
is
the same
Did they say
justification for
it's
Jungle
the same
Book.
people who wrote the music, right?
Same Alan
Okay.
Menken definitely.
That was the
Sorry,
same
Stephen Schwartz.
justification they gave with Jungle Book. That it was based off the novel, not off the original or the
Yeah,
original.
and in all fairness, it was very different than the animated film.
Yeah.
They did take elements from it, but
Yeah, and they did actually. I will give credit where credit's due. Jungle Book did a nice job of skipping back and forth between that more realistic, the Kipling novel interpretation versus getting bare necessities in and all those tropes that you want to, those things that everyone wants to see. But yeah, that's my issue here. Maybe we can get a dark kind of fucked up telling of Quasimodo and all this stuff.
not with Josh
listen,
Gad, but I love what you're saying. yeah.
If there was if there was MA R-rated, really brutal Disney produced
Hardcore penetration.
Yeah. Well, I think that
There's an interesting story there.
Disney's shtick, which is going and finding a lot of these stories are relatively dark stories, and putting it a little flair and color, and suddenly it's a nice little kids film. But the original stories aren't
very true.
all fluffy like that. So I mean, there is some legitimacy in going and finding the source material and bringing something forward on that. I think this is probably the most interesting adaptation that I have come across out of this whole Disney to live action charade thing.
Just quickly, because this is important. Have you guys seen the animated one from the 90s?
Yes, many times.
It gets a fair bit of flack.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's also one of the less seen ones from that period. Hugely, I didn't see it till I was an adult, I think, but and it's not, I don't think, a successful film in terms of the melding of the drama and comedy and stuff. The gargoyles are a big miss for most people, but it is darker than I think any other animated Disney film, and the music is, if not up there, then the best they have produced for any of their films. Hellfire, sung by Tony J, where the villain is kind of singing about his motivations, is mind-blowingly amazing, I think.
I've never quite understood people's criticism of Disney films. Maybe it's just because of
what are the main criticisms of that film?
I mean, I rewatched, or I tried to rewatch. I bought on iTunes Robin Hood. But the aspect ratio got all fucked up. It was weird.
Okay.
I don't know what iTunes does to its old films like that, but they fucked it up something fierce. Anyways, I was looking at reviews of Robin Hood, and it has got like a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Yeah, that's not a favorite, that one.
How many reviews though? That was made in the 70s.
A lot of people.
There's some like weird archive stuff.
I have no idea, to be honest, but like I kind of, after I saw that, I kind of scoured the internet, and it is unliked by a lot of people, and I don't know, like that. The idea of kind of taking those films and being overly critical with them just blows my mind. It's just, and again, maybe that's just where I'm coming from as being those are like classics of my childhood. You don't touch those that shit. But yeah, it's very weird.
What's the main criticism of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the 90s one? Because I haven't watched that probably, maybe even 20, 25 years.
I cannot recommend checking it out enough. Like I said, I saw it for the first time as an adult, and I could not believe, like, the beginning has Quasimodo's mother having a fucking brain stashed out on some steps as she's being chased by, Judge Claude Frollo on horseback. It is so dark and so amazing. It really is a tonal thing, I think, because it has like Jason Alexander, George Costanza playing a gargoyle in it, like, and in the middle of really dramatic scenes, he's like goofing around and doing silly shit. They were trying to recapture that genie thing from Aladdin. Right. So it just doesn't fit together entirely well, but the parts that work are among the best stuff they've ever produced.
Yeah, I really love that movie. That VHS, man, that got through the ringer.
Yeah. So, as I said, probably the most.
You convinced me. It is probably the most interesting with that source material, and it's an interesting thought to think. Originally the executives were thinking, what other stories can we tell? And this was a story they thought they could take and give it that Disney charm. It's interesting to think about it in that way.
They're going to have to be careful though, following all this Aladdin casting controversy stuff, because this movie deals, a lot with the Romani people, and that's become a huge talking point in recent years as well.
Yep.
The 90s movie definitely doesn't pass any kind of tests in that field.
Onwards.
Do we have a release date for this? No, it's just early days.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's
cool.
Probably be out next year with 6 other ones.
2022. I'll put a steak dinner on it.
Okay.
Done.
2022? Oh, here we go. Boom. Where's the list?
Fuck.
Yeah, you have to add it to the list.
I'm adding it now.
All right. Next up.
Steak dinner.
And take this one with a grain of salt. This is just word on the wind, but New Mutants from Fox has reportedly been delayed again with a possible Hulu release. This was originally scheduled to be released April 13th, 2018, and is now on August 2nd, 2019. That's
wild.
Not even including the delay we may be talking about here. This was reportedly due to extensive reshoots, with some claims that up to half the movie could be reshot during additional photography.
How bad could... I mean, at what point is a movie so bad, but also salvageable enough that you spend the money to reshoot half the film?
I think
how far down are you in terms of money?
I question whether it's bad, or is it, hey, the executives think we need to adjust the tonality of this in this way, shape, or form.
But I feel like executives are more worried about budget and movie, and like that is not a small move just for a tonal shift.
Well, Scott Bechtel from Merc with the podcast, who is where this information is coming from, has called this a dead on arrival film. So that doesn't really bode well for what it is. Apparently, the director Josh Boone, he says they're just struggling to put together like an actual movie out of what they've shot.
Damn,
Yeah, which
that's such a bummer because that trailer.
I love the trailer.
Is so cool, and I even the font, man. Something about the font, I was like, "This is an X-Men movie. Like, what is going on?" I am amped for this. So to hear that this is the case, if I've built this up too much in my mind.
Yeah.
George, you let yourself down again, bro.
Fucked up, George.
You fucked up, man.
You ruined the New Mutants.
God damn.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
And that's also one of the biggest delays in history, like of a major film like this. Like that's
Of a
well
major
over
film
a year.
that like had a release date.
Yeah, and trailers and everything.
But this movie for me now, after hearing this news, you got to take it with a grain of salt, and we'll probably end up going to see it. But part of me just says, that's it. Don't worry about that one.
Yep.
That ship has sailed. And if it's good, it turns out being good. But I'm not getting myself excited.
Well, if I hadn't written this story today, I would have interjected and said, "Wait, are you sure you're not talking about Dark Phoenix?" Because
Well,
that
makes sense,
movie,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that if they just shelved it because it looks so bad. Whereas this looked really cool, and I would be happy for them to just shuffle that one along.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Cool.
what time is it?
It's trailer time.
Trailer time.
Hey,
Bringing it back.
You told me.
That was a different one. There's a bit more of a variation in the pitch.
Vibrato doesn't mean different.
All right, first on our list, the big one that came out like the day after we recorded last week.
An hour after.
Keeps happening. It's fucking annoying as shit. Spider-Man Far From Home, both the domestic and the international trailer.
And that was
slight difference.
Decently different.
So, I mean, this is kind of big. First and foremost, there's a lot of people that are really pissed. Because they're like,
what?
You showed Spider-Man and he's meant to be dead because we saw Avengers and he was dead and all that kind of stuff. Can I just mention to those people that they should fuck off?
I wish they released this trailer and it's as it is, but they've just taken Spider-Man
out. Yeah. I was like, what did you do? Like, you knew that it was going to be released. What the fuck did you think?
Nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man. There's no one there.
Or someone else.
Some sand.
Oh, yeah, he can't be speaking. Yeah, fuck. Spoilers.
Yeah, no, it's just that I figured that was a bit silly to get upset about that. I mean, obviously.
Totally. I hate that mindset of like, there's no stakes if we know they're coming back. It's like, it's not about that. Come on.
Yeah, and then obviously, a lot of them are coming back because they've had movies slated, and they have been since that happened. So, I mean, it's just...
I will say, though, it'll be interesting once we're wrapped up with 2019 how the MCU will play out, because I remain concerned about Captain Marvel. It is in March, and then Infinity War comes out in April. I wonder if that's too close together. At least Black Panther was in February, Then we'll see what happens with Far From Home. I will say I really enjoyed both of these trailers. Didn't love them. Jake Gyllenhaal steals the show, but they're holding back a lot. It seems like it was very plot based. It was very much about him going to, we didn't get a lot of moments. And that's what I loved about Homecoming was the moments, the character interactions. You didn't get heaps of that in this.
Well, and one of the things that I really liked about Homecoming was the idea that it was very much the neighborhood Spider-Man. It was this kind of small set. It's New York. I mean, like your biggest kind of travel or, big set was him bringing down a plane onto the beach. Like that to me felt like a breath of fresh air from the overall MCU, which has steadily increased in its scale and not complaining, but it's nice to have a bit of kind of back and forth. This one seems to have done away with the whole friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and is now kind of entering that realm of larger and bigger and more fantastic and that. And I wonder how much that will affect the overall story.
Yeah, I get that they've done, Spider-Man hanging out in Manhattan 6 times now, but it still feels weird him being away. I'm like, that's Spider-Man, man.
Like that's what that character is. And I mean, yeah, I agree. So it'll be...
I'm not
don't
against that though. I'm not
against it, but it still feels weird.
Yeah, I'm not saying it'll be bad. I'm just saying it's interesting, and I'm curious to see how much it will affect my viewing experience. But irrespective of that, super keen on Mysterio. I don't know. I haven't been this excited for a particular character in the MCU for a while, and it's not one that I expected to be excited about. But Jake Gyllenhaal in this, and just the look, the design,
Love that design
of the character. I am so. How the fuck did they pull off a fishbowl head? But it looks.
Yeah, he's
fucking
actually
sick.
got it. He's actually got it. We saw him on
He's got
set.
the bold people.
Yeah, we saw him on set without it, and a lot of people were kind of thinking, oh, I guess
There was a
he's
lot
not
of
going
people
to have
talking
it.
about that, saying no
But
bowl.
I guess in retrospect, of course, it's going to be CGI. What the fuck?
Yeah, of course.
What were we thinking?
They're actually just gonna put a bowl on it.
He's
Jake
drowning.
Gyllenhaal
He's
dies
drowning.
on set.
Right now, fill it with smoke.
You didn't put air holes in it, goddammit.
He tucks his
No,
cape
he
in. Oh!
fucking steals the show in this. Even just the little details. Like we watched both the domestic and international, and his sequence was the same, correct?
Yeah.
And the way just he comes out of the smoke, he just pops out, and he's just got this look, and then the armor is steampunky and got a really cool rectangular boxy
is.
design to it.
Genuinely, Thor combined with, I guess Iron Man, but more accurately, Doctor Strange. Like, it's just the amalgamation of those characters into something that looks really fucking sick.
I am totally on board with this.
Now, if you let me get my my wiki nerd on again, for those who don't know, Mysterio or Quentin Beck is a disgraced special effects artist from Hollywood who's taken to a life of crime using visual effects and stuff to make himself look like an all-powerful being. This trailer, as you said, George, doesn't contain a huge thrust of what's going on here because this, I think, is going to be another really twisty film, especially dealing with his character. The way the movie presents it is Mysterio is a force for good. He's a hero fighting whatever else is going on in this. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more to this character in the film.
What wasn't there something released about? They released and they've confirmed that they're going with the special effects artist thing. I believe they're still going with that angle.
100%. I don't know. I haven't seen what you're talking about, but definitely that's the main hook of the character.
Yeah, but you could imagine they would do away with that, and he's maybe, I could imagine.
It does. Well, I mean,
that's
it
a
genuinely
tough one
looks
to get right.
In the trailer, it does look as though he is, genuinely powerful. But it would make sense because there is a lot of design taking from Thor and Iron Man and Doctor Strange. I mean, even the green shapes in that. Like, I can definitely see him taking elements of things that have already happened and using that in the special effects to create this ultimate hero.
Yeah, because Homecoming was all about borrowed and stolen technology. So I'm sure they
So he's manifesting those beings.
Elementals. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm so into that, man.
The only thing I don't quite understand is that those beings genuinely have an impact on Spider-Man. Like, they've obviously splashed him or whatever they do.
Yeah. So what is the extent of Mysterio's power, Benny?
In the comics, generally it's just special effects. It's all illusions, holograms, and bullshit. But yeah, it's very interesting to see what they're going to do here. It looks like he might be in league potentially with some other characters. A lot of like license plates and numbers on boats and stuff reference issues of the comic. Some certain ones being, I think, the first appearance of Molten Man and the first appearance of Hydro Man, who obviously could be characters that we've seen in this trailer as well.
Yeah.
Characters that we have not seen in a Spider-Man movie before. So
cool.
Yeah.
Overall,
cool
everyone
stuff.
pretty keen?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That line at the end of the domestic trailer is hilarious.
Yeah. We all got a chuckle.
Onwards. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Released a trailer this week. This is the first real look at this. I'm always on board for a John Wick film. I mean, the first one was so it was kind of like Taken. Like, it just you'd never have expected it, but it's kind of revolutionary in terms of action movies. And it
was a surprise.
Kind of like a cult pop meme now. I just can't speak today.
A meme.
A meme.
I love a good meme.
But yeah, this kind of seems to take the whole world building and ramp it up once again. Ben, I can feel your eyes roll into the back of your head with world building. But that was one of the greatest things about John Wick, the original one, was that you felt like you were in this really expansive universe that had depth and mystery and all that kind of jazz.
It just kept expanding very naturalistically.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? I didn't love John Wick 2.
Neither did I.
Me either.
But
I think the general opinion though is that people fucking froth it.
But I'm this trailer. We watched this trailer, and I was like, I'm pumped to go back to the John Wick universe, man.
And having said that, I
I'm
don't
pumped.
hate number 2. It's just kind of one of those like, oh, that was a sequel.
I'd
to
be
a film.
very keen to see it again.
They went down a lot of similar plot points that they did in the first one. Not as good, and you had already seen it. So a lot of John Wick 2 to me, especially in the front half, maybe the first third, felt like, okay, we're going through the motions again. So this is a John Wick film. I hope they kind of mix it up with this one. But seriously, him on the bike with the samurai sword, I'm like, fuck, I love Keanu Reeves.
It's so contrived and it's so bizarre, but I'm fucking in with it. I'm like, yes.
And I love Keanu Reeves. Like this meme came up on my Facebook the other, like earlier this week. And it was, Keanu Reeves talking about like how he loves being alone. And he's like, I just like going clothes shopping by myself and I'm comfortable with myself. And I was like, fuck, man, I love this guy.
He's the best little onion of a man. Like you just peel a little layer and you're like, oh, this is great. Let's go another one. Oh, this is great. Let's do another one. Yeah.
There's a great little video online of him like standing up for someone on a train.
Yes.
So either he's the nicest guy in Hollywood or he's got the best fucking PR guy out there.
Wouldn't that be devastating? There's a couple of guys and women that if you found out that they were dickheads, you'd just be crushed.
Be brutal.
And
Well, we did a
Reeves
lot of
is
that
one
last
them.
year, didn't we?
Well, yeah. Although a lot of them were kind of like, yeah.
Louis C.K.
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, what was the biggest one that kind of
Spacey.
really?
Spacey or Weinstein.
Spacey did. Oh yeah, Weinstein really shocked us all.
That was 2016.
No, I mean like who was like really a fall from
Tom
grace?
Hanks was a real kick to the guts.
Yeah. Tom Hanks, Mark Hamill. Yeah.
Morgan Freeman, actually, some shit.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that one.
No.
That one where I was like,
that one was
let's
one
see
of
how
those
this
ones,
plays out.
Yeah,
Let's see how
that was
this
one of
plays
those
out.
ones where it just felt a little bit on the line.
But
and I was
if
like,
Morgan
I don't
Freeman
know how to-
fucks up Shawshank for me, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be pissed.
All right. Well, moving on. Shazam. I didn't even know that there, like this.
Got the
seems
exclamation
like
mark on
such
there.
an
You got to say it that way.
underhyped film. I feel like
Really?
it's just. I feel like most of the DC films have been getting a lot of hype, and this one just seems to be kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Maybe that's just because I'm hanging out in the wrong circles, listening to the wrong
Hanging out with your Marvel
podcasts.
fanboys.
Yeah. But every time I see something on this, and every time I see a trailer on this, I'm reminded that Shazam is coming out, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm just like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
I love this trailer as
Me
much
too.
or more than the previous ones.
I honestly, I am so pumped for this. I cannot wait for Shazam. The comedic timing in this is fantastic. It really looks like they know what they're doing and they've got a good script under their belt.
So can I provide I suppose a counterpoint? It's my job here to be the contrarian and the devil's advocate here. What if this movie is just quippy one-liners about how he's a kid in an adult's body?
Well,
Which they seem to have nailed so far. Like, that's great. But if that's just that
this was a
that's all
pretty
this film
short
is,
trailer. Like
I think it might have even been a TV one. But yeah, I was literally just about to say, I actually really like this trailer more so than the previous ones in terms of what it showed. Like the comedy all worked fantastically, but I like the non-comedy stuff as well. There's that shot right at the beginning where he leaps off a building and yells Shazam and turns into Shazam and
So cool.
flies off. I'm like, that looks fucking wicked.
It's very dynamic.
Yeah.
It has some really cool angles in this. I have so much confidence in this. I really hope it delivers because I am
Where does
getting
that
way
confidence
too
come from?
excited.
Great director.
I am just on a DC like.
They're killing
let's
it, man.
go.
They're on top of the world.
Let's fucking go.
Oh,
because
George, don't do it, man.
You
Don't
got
do
me.
it.
You got me right now.
No, but in all fairness, David F. Sandberg, really solid director, great with kids. And yeah, this does
And
look
about
funny as hell.
creation.
And to answer your question, if this is just the quips and the funny stuff, I'll probably still like it because, like I just said earlier, I enjoyed the new Ghostbusters, and that was just like really stupid comedy for most of it. And the other stuff in it did not work.
Yep. Cool. Number 4 is High Life.
I said this was This is like Interstellar in a garage. It's like a Chris Nolan if it was his first feature, and he had like $1,500.
Well, that and if he was going for, I don't know, what's an indie Oscar, fucking Sundance or something. I don't know. It looks like this feels to me like one of those films. It's like, guess how arty we can be.
You know what? I actually, as much as I'm kind of shitting on, I'm quite interested to see this film.
I love fucking like
A24.
Yeah, and just kind of lo-fi sci-fi.
Yeah,
like
love
this.
it. I think
movies about ideas, man.
Yeah, I don't know. These kind of movies worry me with the pacing.
It'll be a slow movie.
Yeah.
It'll be a slow burn. There don't seem to be a lot of environmental changes, so you're in this contained environment for a lot of it. So hopefully there seems to be a lot of characters in here, a lot of weird shit going on. I think there's going to be a lot of twists and turns. I'm interested.
Looks
got
in any
me.
number of ways like your Sunshines or your Solarises, both of which I love. So
it looks like that, but even a stage down in terms of like budget. This
budget,
looks like,
and again, I think that this
5-10
just looks
grand,
like,
not including
to
the
me,
stars.
this looks like the laborious end of pacing, which is going to be really heavy, kind of, it's going to be very kind of that artsy type of slow.
I think it'll almost have like a fly on the wall style. Like there was some shots with Robert Pattinson playing with his kid, and I can imagine sitting there for 45 seconds to a minute, kind of just soaking in this
It's going to be
kid's
very
existence.
visual and just like interpret this scene that goes on for a minute. And I'm just not about that.
I'm keen for this.
Okay,
I'm keen for this.
which is fair.
yeah, it is from a French director, so could be incredibly arty.
Last one, which is I think the exact opposite of that, which is the man who killed. Sorry,
you might be surprised. Carry on.
yeah, the man who killed Hitler, and then the Bigfoot. I watched this trailer earlier this week. I fucking love it. I love the idea. I love the randomness of it. I love the just balls to the wall weirdness.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this trailer. It kind of reminds me of Bubba Hotep in a way. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
The Elvis.
It's like Elvis versus the Mummy.
I
it's
watched
a very
that
strange movie.
so
you should
long
check
ago.
it out. Yeah, it's fun.
For real. Okay.
Do you know I got weird vibes of Quentin Tarantino's When They Kill Hitler. Fuck.
Inglourious Basterds.
Glorious Bastards. Thank you. I don't know why. I think
Probably because they killed Hitler.
Well,
Yeah.
that's probably
Yeah.
You walked right into that one.
So I've been hearing about this movie a lot last year as it was doing the festival circuits. It sounds really interesting, and from what I hear, it's very much not what it sounds like. With a title like that, obviously you're expecting
I was
a certain
laughing in
kind
this
of film.
trailer.
Yeah, I don't think that's what this movie's going for at all. I think it's a much more contemplative film.
But they're playing with, they're doing it in a meta way in that when I see that title, I'm thinking like almost neo-Nazi. I'm even thinking like zombie Nazi kind of direct-to-DVD released in 2007
same.
kind of film.
But I also
so if they're making it more introspective and they're adding a lot more depth to it in terms of characterization and not just a fun schlocky film, that sounds like an interesting thing. And you could tell there was a level of sophistication in this trailer that got me interested. I was laughing, but to hear that piques my interest even more.
And I'll say that even if it is more contemplative and less kind of wacky and all that, I'll kind of compare it to High Life, which we just talked about, in that this seems to have enough kind of set change and movement and things to keep the audience interested, that the pacing won't feel quite so laborious.
And Sam Elliott is a great get. It's good to see him in a starring role.
Yeah, I really like Sam Elliott.
We talked about Thank You for Smoking earlier. He's great in that. He's in at least one Ghost Rider film.
Oh, he is, isn't he?
Right. He's a highlight on his career.
he plays a very kind of particular character in all his
Mustachioed.
films. Mustachioed dude. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not far off. Anyways, that's our trailers for the week. Shall we go for the question of the week?
Let's do it.
So I proposed this earlier in the episode. I said, think of your favorite antagonist. And I left it open to any film. I'm happy to go first to at least give George a little bit of time to think.
I had something.
This is gonna be-
and it's gone.
This is going to be a weird one because this is just, and I don't know why, I could not explain this to save my life, but this just jumped into my head which was Long John Silver out of Muppets Treasure Island.
Very strange.
I could not tell you why.
Yeah.
And I like that popped into my head. I thought about it for 2 seconds. I was like, no, that's silly. I'm going to go on and find a better antagonist because I've got the entirety of movies to think about it. And I was like, no, fuck it. That jumped in my head first. I'm going to stick with it. I don't know. I think part of it's nostalgia. You know, I absolutely love that movie from my childhood. But having said that, I watched it last year. So, 3 months ago. And I was blown away with how much I enjoyed that film, not just out of nostalgia, but that it's just a genuinely good film. And Tim Curry in it is spectacular. Like, I mean, he's born to play, villains and antagonists, and I think that
Nigel Thornberry.
And I think he did an absolutely spectacular job in this. Just making a character that seems so kind of, the kind of heart of gold, but a villain type character.
Nice.
Yeah, he is still legitimately who I picture as Long John Silver.
Oh, I couldn't tell you anyone else.
I don't think what Robert Louis Stevenson was thinking when he wrote it, but
probably not.
Still,
no.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to have that come to mind when I think about antagonists.
Professor Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
From Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't know.
Go for a penny.
Okay.
George is panicking.
No, seriously, I had somebody. I remembered it, and I've just forgotten it again.
Okay.
So mine, I'm gonna go for the obvious choice here. A very popular choice, which is the MCU's Loki.
I could have bet an enormous amount of money that was going to be your.
Yeah, I wasn't going to, but I figure why the hell not? Ever since that first Thor movie, the first of the 3 times I saw that first Thor movie in the cinema, I was just completely magnetized to his performance.
Yeah.
That's why I liked that movie, because I've gone back and watched it recently. I'm like, man, there's not really anything good about this movie except for him. Just watching him in that and Thor 2, those 2 movies in particular, I just think he's amazing and just so interesting and tragic and charming and just beautiful.
So I was gonna
and a dick. That's great.
I was going to before this not let you
he's
choose
an
Loki. I was
anti-hero.
gonna put in a little. Yeah, I was gonna say something dumb like that. I was gonna say like
Wish you did.
he's not.
I said antagonist.
Strictly speaking, antagonist, and he's the antagonist for like the first one, but not really for. But I thought I'd let you have it anyways. It's as good an answer.
He's feeling charitable today.
Yeah,
Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Connor.
God.
that is okay, my child.
I was about to say that you're my favorite antagonist, but then you just did something so charitable and wonderful.
I've really spun it around for you. Yeah, that's a fair. Yeah.
I've got 2 answers. One,
Did I say your 2 best ones?
Wow.
2 favorite?
Fuck, George.
I think you did, sir. I wanted to just chuck this in here because it's a weird one. It's kind of doesn't make any sense, but Darth Maul, I feel like his aesthetic really embodies an antagonist.
That's
and I
fair.
think
He's
everyone
iconic
built-
for anyone, Aaron.
Yeah.
He built everyone that trailer. They built up Darth Maul to be this badass motherfucker.
There were, years where I'm sure the number 1 Halloween costume
Yeah,
in the
no
country
doubt.
would have been Darth Maul.
I thought he was just so cool when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that lightsaber battle goes down as one of the best of all time. A lot of people say too much twirly, but lightsaber, but it's
love
fucking
it.
awesome.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
flippy,
It's
lava,
awesome.
lava, lava.
Doing flips and shit. So I had to chuck him in there. But my second choice is maybe even weirder.
Oh boy.
Is Face Off. John Woo's Face Off. Because there's
Nah, fuck you. This podcast is done.
Which one's the antagonist?
yeah, I'm just trying to remember now.
I've asked this
So
on the
it's
pod
John-
before because I can never get it straight.
It's John Travolta for the best
So it's
chunk.
his face is the bad guy. So Nick Cage is the bad guy.
Yeah, don't confuse me, bro. Don't confuse me, bro. All I know is that he sleeps with the dude's wife, and it's just like John Travolta's just like he's just nasty in it. He's just real nasty. So so Nick Cage starts as the bad guy, and then he turns into John Travolta.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess so confusing with that movie. There's literally one swap, but it's so confusing
I
for
know.
whatever reason. But yeah,
That's your number 1 antagonist?
I just think like them
2 for 1.
when you talk antagonist is like how they interact with the hero.
And that's such a personal
And
relationship.
that's so personal. It's super cheesy 90s, of course, but
Castor Troy and Sean Archer.
it's so cool, man. I have a real soft spot for that movie. Anyway, that was a bit of fun.
Just a bit.
Always is, George.
Just a little bit.
a touch.
All I need is a little bit. And go check out our Glass review. We're going to get into spoilers. I am pumped for that. We'll be back next week with our Titans review and the weekly show. It's going to be great. See you later, Connor.
Bye.
See you later, Benny. See you later, everyone.
I just started it. I had to do it.
So,
Eh?
question of the week. Top 3?
We say it all the time, though. It's just Daredevil
fine.
and Jessica Jones
What about
and Punisher.
Ah, you bastard.
Yeah, bastard.
Bastard.
favorite antagonist?
I need to think about that though, because I want to come up with something good there, not fucking Bane versus Batman in The Dark Knight Rises.
Not do that.
Well, you have the entire episode to
Bane.
think about it.
You can't think it,
Can I
dog.
go Bane? Yeah, fuck, bro. Who you
First
think I
thing that
am?
comes to mind. I'm going with what first came to my mind, but it's a weird one.
Ooh.
Favorite.
Ooh.
Favorite. I can go for memorable as well, you know.
Take it however you want. Mine's gonna be weird, man. Mine's just whatever came into my head when I said antagonist.
All right.
I guarantee you, it's not what you'd expect.
A checkity check.
Hey, but away.
We're winning so hard. This is the post-credit scene
And
on
go.
the episode, by the way. I've been recording this whole time. I've been really recording this whole time.
I sound like that crazy cat lady from Simpsons.
That's your fucking domain, bro.
That's where I live.
That's your domain of expertise.
Let's get this shit rolling, man. Let's go.